Okay, the meeting will now be called to order at 6:07 because of Reed Berger. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Sheridan, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Savance, Ms. Stone, Ms. Powell, Ms. Odina, Mr. Paspalakis.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, right? Okay, all right. All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of March 11th. Now, none of you were at the March 11th meeting. I was here. I can certify that the minutes are correct. So do I hear a motion for approval? Okay, second. Okay, motion and second by Robert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I guess, so we go right into public comments by people addressing the board?
That's more just informational.
Okay, all right, so that's not, okay, so, because, all right. Okay, well, before we get to item 5, we do have Captain Loomis over here, and she would prefer that she makes, does the redevelopment update right now so that she could go on to something else, if that's okay. Do I hear a motion to move this part of item 6 in front of item 5?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Tricia Loomis, Daytona Beach Police Department, newly promoted police captain over to District 2. Took over about 3 weeks ago. Captain Lee is still around. He's doing a majority of the code issues now, so we're fortunate that we'll have each other to help. Citywide, from our last year, we're down 21% on our park crimes, which is our major crimes. For our district, we're down 20%, which is huge. This last ComStat period, which took us through all the holidays, the hustle and bustle, people being off, and when a lot of things could happen, we actually did really well. We ended up with 5 car breaks. 1 was the only forced entry, so everybody just leaving their stuff unlocked, being complacent. We had 3 burglaries, 2 robberies, and we had 3 reported auto thefts, but their cars were all found, so they were not stolen. So overall, we had a good ComStat period. Everybody just hopefully paying attention, locking cars, looking out for each other. No real major complaints through the holidays. So we're just looking forward to a great year and starting out our special events, hopefully. Do I have any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, you may move on to bigger.
All right. No, I don't. Thank you. Thank you.
Free to go.
Okay, so now we got item 5, rezoning, second amendment to plan development agreement and preliminary replat. I see the applicant, Glenn Storch. Would you like to say something?
Well, I think the staff should make a presentation first.
Reed?
Yes, sir. If I could do that, that would be appreciated. And I was looking for a couple documents here.
Now, am I supposed to limit you to 3 minutes?
Good. But hopefully, keep this fairly short. Okay.
Do you need a pen?
No glasses.
You need cheaters, Reed?
Huh?
You need cheaters?
No, I'm okay. So let's go forward here, and I'll be able to kind of walk you through the fact that what we have here tonight is really a request to take a PD that was created way back in 2010 by White Chalice, and they were listed as W.C. Grand, and during that time, they wanted to place 17 townhome units, all connected together, with some breaks in those buildings. They were in alignment of 3, 4 units around the block between Braddock and Goodall and Grandview, the 500 block of South Grandview. And this was to replace some apartments that were there Originally, the CRA was involved in the acquisition of that land, and then the demolition of about 34 units that were in pretty bad shape, and so we know that back then the neighborhood, particularly the members of the church next door, were ecstatic about changing everything because there were a lot of problems coming out of that area. So that was a good start to what we thought would be some development. It didn't happen. Even with a change in how the development was amended back in about 2013 and decided to go to a different model of, instead of a townhome subdivision, to take the lots that were there and place single-family structures on those lots. When that was done, they were going to be townhomes. Look, the architecture would be basically the same, but they would have separation in between. Just really a different form of ownership. And that effort, similar to what we have right in our downtown by the same developer, simply did not succeed in getting the numbers that they needed to actually sell those individual lots. So ultimately, the project stalled after all the infrastructure was placed in the ground, and that included the driveways, everything. So that's where things kind of started. That's the background, and I have a couple maps that show you the zoning, got all of this in the report, and the future land use, and it all speaks to some kind of multifamily all along Grandview Avenue in this area was intended on that west side of Grandview, the higher density development. And so there it is. You can see in this recent aerial that the internal network with the infrastructure was all put in place, with the exception of a few places that we'll talk about in a minute. This is the site as it looks today from a couple different angles. So it's just a nice big green space now. And the next thing I want to talk about is over on the...
Just right in front of you there.
Okay. Yeah, that's maybe better. Yeah. On the project background, I've already gone over that. We don't need to say any more about that. Also wanted to show you, that's the facade that we were talking about, the architecture. And that's really where this new PD changes, because the last amendment took it from 17 townhomes to 15 single-family homes. Now, on that same configuration of lots, they would like to have the same 17 townhome subdivision. When I say same, there's some slight deviations, but primarily that it's in the same footprints, but with a different architecture. And the project description is one that I'm going to have to. Oh yeah. This LLC is one that, here, found my glasses. That'll help a lot. Okay, the property I mentioned was contemporary architecture now, and the applicant is also requesting, as a part of this, that they have the preliminary plat for a townhome subdivision approved as a part of the PD agreement. So it'll be incorporated as a part of this. And then after, assuming they get approval, they'll be putting together the approval for a final plat.
And does this go from us to the planning board to the city commission?
That is correct. That is the process. And so what is happening here is I'm trying to put it all together for you in one graphic, shows the townhomes as they would be proposed. You're going to notice that there's some gray shaded areas to the west side, that'd be the left side of your screen. And thank you. And those shaded areas are an extension of what you saw in that air photo of the driveways. And that's to accommodate the two units that are furthest to the west that go from the 15 home configuration to the 17 units for the townhome. And so they need to add that infrastructure in. That's what that illustrates for you. You can see a little bit of shading along the back of some of the homes as well. Again, it's to make sure that there's enough area for people to pull out from the garages, easily get around internally. Okay. The staff has looked at all of the landscape and other design requirements, and so we believe that they're meeting all of the requirements that we have in the Land Development Code, with the exception of some modifications, and we'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, for us, it's always important to go back to the redevelopment plan, in this case, the South Atlantic redevelopment plan. This one is a site that we're looking at that was back in 2010 and back when this was created in 2001, was a high priority site for residential infill. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. This was actually shown as a specific site to be redeveloped, and that's exactly what's happening here. The Land Development Code modifications that I mentioned, there's a list of some changes, all in your report. So what you're going to find, I'm sure the applicant will let you know that a lot of these requests are actually less than what was approved originally in the earlier agreements as amended. So what you're seeing is that they're going to be doing a lot in terms of providing more setback than they had before, and essentially the open space as a part of this development. The development phasing plan is something that is in the plan development. They will have full construction permits within 18 months. This agreement is approved. They have 2 years before they have to have all the changes in any infrastructure and the grading, anything they're going to change there as a part of this within 2 years, and a 12-month extension may be allowed for a minor modification agreement. Staff, after looking through this, has a recommendation to approve the application to amend the PD plan and allow the 17 townhome units in the 500 block of South Grandview, including the WC Grand preliminary plat for 17 townhome lots. The item is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Planning Board on January 28th, 2021. A majority vote of the redevelopment board members present voting are required to recommend approval to the Planning Board.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there any
have any
questions? Is there any questions for staff before we get to the applicant?
Okay, very good.
All right, Glenn?
Thank you. For the record, my name is Glenn Storch, and I represent the applicant in this case. I got to tell you, that was an excellent staff report, and it certainly explained a lot of the things I would be explaining. So everything he just told you is absolutely correct. The bottom line is this is exactly what your redevelopment plan provides for. This was the intent of this project. This was the intent of taking out those old neglected apartments. Everything we're doing here is right. The problem was that originally in 2001, The timing was wrong. It was pretty clear that at that time, there was not a market yet for townhouse projects in areas like this. In the last 10 years, you've seen much more of an acceptance and a desire for those townhouse projects, especially among younger people. Younger people really enjoy living in townhouse projects because, as a general rule, these things are low maintenance or no maintenance. You'll have a common element on the outside. They'll take care of all the landscaping. They'll take care of the outside of the buildings. That will maintain the project. It will maintain the neighborhood. It will do everything you're looking for a redevelopment project. And plus, as I've noted in the things that I passed out to you, this is going to generate a tremendous tax base for the city of Daytona Beach, and hopefully for the redevelopment district itself. Right now, this is a vacant piece of property. It's generating nothing, really. When this thing goes in, the townhouses will be valued at approximately $275,000 to $300,000 per townhouse. So times 17, that's approximately $4,675,000 in value created as a result of this. And again, there is a market for this at this point. Allow me to get on my soapbox for a second. We've got to do everything we can to encourage investment into the beachside neighborhoods. And when you do that, when you see something like this going in, and you see the plans for it, you see the elevations, this is the sort of thing that will raise the values of that neighborhood. When we do that, it will encourage other people to do the same. It'll encourage other people to invest in this area. It will encourage people to upgrade their homes. That's what we need. That's what a redevelopment district is for, and hopefully we've accomplished that goal. My goal right now is to encourage investment in this redevelopment district. I'm doing my best to do that. So obviously, like I say, I think staff did a great job as far as explaining why this is important, why this is appropriate, why staff is recommending approval. If there's anything you need from me, ask any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, well, yeah, let's start with Susan. Before we go forward, and excuse me for interrupting your presentation.
I'm done.
We have a lot of new members, and I would first like every member to just say a little bit about themselves. You know, I mean, I'm the only member from last year here, so let's first go around. It won't take that long. We'll start with Susan, go to Teresa.
Okay. My name is Sue Odina. I'm a commercial realtor with Coldwell Banker. I also work in affordable housing. I'm on a bunch of committees, and I've lived here approximately 5 years.
Okay, all right, Teresa.
Teresa Doan, I have businesses on Main Street, and sorry. And I've been on this board before, and I'm back again.
That's right. Okay, well, Dina Paspalakis have businesses on the boardwalk and on A1A, and I've been on this board for when Teresa was on it before, and then I came back also. So anyways, Robert?
Hi, Robert Ellis. I have a historic home here in Daytona Beach that I've been restoring for the past 6 years, and I own one business on Main Street that I've had open for the past 4 years.
Okay, all right. Now, questions for the applicant, Susan?
Okay.
Okay.
When we were on the Zoom for your presentation,
The neighborhood meeting?
the neighborhood meeting.
Right.
You had mentioned that there would be no short-term rental.
That's correct.
And that it would be in your HOA documents.
Yeah.
That's still correct.
That's correct. We can, first of all, short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning classification, and so unless we were to amend the zoning to allow for it, it would not be amended. As you can tell, it is not in the PUD, so short-term rentals are not permitted, but we can certainly add that into the HOA.
Excellent. There is a question as to how you're going to handle trash removal. Some of the residents in the area are concerned about that. And the other thing was a suggestion to stripe the parking places. On Sunday, the church has a lot of cars. It might be just a convenience for everybody if the parking places were striped.
It's not a bad idea. And I will talk to my client regarding that. That's, again, we're mandated to have at least two parking spaces per unit. We will have that. You know, I understand churches. And, and I'm glad that people are coming to them. But we'll look at that, doing just that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Teresa? Okay, Robert?
I have no questions.
Yeah, I have one question. Now, obviously, the 2 parking spaces that you're talking per unit is the garage within the unit itself.
That's correct.
Now, if that unit has a guest, they'll be parking on the street?
Yes.
Okay, and is there ample street parking?
There seems to be. We looked at this, as a matter of fact, especially after our neighborhood meeting. And if I remember correctly, there's at least 2 streets that allow for on-street parking. Sunday may be an issue with the church, but other than that, there should be no issues whatsoever.
So 2 out of the 3 streets that the...
It may be 3 out of 3, but
3.
is it 3 out of 3? Okay.
I think it's 3.
Okay.
Okay, so all 3 streets have side parking and everything like that.
Right. And don't forget, you've got a neighborhood there where people do that now. Guests come, they park on the street. And so it's pretty common.
Okay, now in the Main Street area, the parking spaces that are, fronting homes and everything like that, you have to have a special parking pass. Is that the same with this area or no?
No.
No, okay, well then that's not a problem then.
And I think that's part of the situation. Right now, there's no issues. If it becomes an issue, we'll come and talk to you. But to be honest with you, the fact that we are guaranteeing at least 2 parking spaces for each of these units, which are, not huge units, but I think that should be sufficient. And oftentimes, I will tell you this, oftentimes people who want to live in townhouses, who want to buy townhouses, they're younger people, they typically don't have kids. So you're looking at a different kind of demographic.
Okay. Okay, well that's pretty much all the questions I have.
Okay.
All right, we have members of the audience that would like to speak. Did you want to reserve a spot afterwards?
I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right. Jennifer? Okay, I'm calling. Okay, there is Jennifer Nazak here.
Jenny, she's right here.
Okay, there you are. Now you could attest to the minutes of the meeting because you were a board member when this at the last meeting.
Oh, yes, sir. I attest. And Happy New Year, everybody. Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey Avenue. Congratulations, new board members. As many of you know, I'm very into, my area of focus is the environment. And I'm really excited about this WC Grand development because it's a very environmentally friendly mode of living. And I'm glad to see the modifications to things like setbacks and so on, getting a little flexibility in the urban setting. Another comment I want to make as somebody who's very concerned with biodiversity. Urban areas are actually a last frontier for rejuvenating and preserving biodiversity. So we're talking wildflowers, native plants, and so on. I've been doing a lot of webinars over the past year. And on the WC Grand site, there was actually this beautiful meadow of many different species of wildflowers growing naturally. And that was really cool. But our current standard calls for people to have to mow. And there is an opportunity to widen the land development code to include a little bit more informed information about native plants, like putting that into the land development code. And a lot of people think that native wildflowers are weeds. And actually, as a member of the Beautification Tree Advisory Board, I'm going to be working to try to promote it through that channel and try to get a little bit more flexibility into the horticultural aspects of our developments. Other issues I want to comment on, this is just in general. I've been studying a lot about responsible lighting over the past few months, that it's really possible to have excellent lighting for pedestrian safety and public safety, yet not causing light pollution. So there are actually developments here in Florida. There's one development where it's very well lit, but people can see the Milky Way. And it's an enormous tourist draw, as well as very good quality of life for residents. So that's something really cool we can be looking at as an urban area redevelopment. And then, yeah, that's it for now. Thank you all very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Next speaker is Ann Ruby.
Hi, I wanted to make general comments at the end, not on this project.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because the general comments, I don't know if I said that on the form anymore.
Okay.
Thank you.
Handle this. All right. All right. Glenn, I don't think you have to come back with anything. Nobody spoke against you.
No, I agree, and I appreciate, I'm sorry, and I appreciate that. I will tell you that as far as wildflowers, we have no problem with the idea of trying to incorporate wildflowers into our landscaping plan, so we're going to look at that as a possibility. Because, I mean, again, the beachside should be special, and we're going to work together on that. And also lighting, you're going to see, your staff will tell you, we work together with staff on lighting plans to minimize lighting going off the property, especially because of the turtle protection. So you'll see us doing that as well. Okay?
All right.
Are you ready for a motion?
Okay. I don't know. Excuse me. The interior is closed to. You need to sit outside.
Mr. Savant.
That's
Oh. I'm so sorry. Well, you just walked in and started sitting there. If you want to walk back here.
Hard to recognize people on that.
All right. And this is Tony. I only met you one time, and this was 9 months ago at the meeting when you were first. He's the planning board appointee. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself? Because there are other members of the board all knew some, were on the board before.
Well, good evening, everyone. I do apologize. I'm running a little late. Working with young people, it could be a task. I'm Tony Servance. I'm currently the chairman of the planning board. I've been on the board for 4 years, and it's a pleasure to work with you all and to work on behalf of the city of Daytona. Enjoy it.
All right.
And Dino, I have one more thing to say, and that is, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone being here tonight, coming out on a cold night for one case. So thank you very much.
No problem. And you better appreciate me coming because there's no vice chair here either, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's, is there a motion for approval?
I move approval.
Is there a second? Okay, now there's discussion. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? All right, it's unanimous.
Thank you very much. Good night, guys.
All right, the next item on the agenda is redevelopment project updates. We already have the police department updates, so you can carry it from there.
Just wanted to point out to you a couple things. But the main thing right now is that we're starting a monthly reports from the Public Works that you'll receive from them about all capital projects that are in the Beachside redevelopment area. And also, that will apply to,
Reed? I'm sorry, yeah.
just one second.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what that was about, but it seemed important enough to interrupt the meeting. Okay. In addition, I'm in charge of the Friends of the Band Show. We do concert every summer, and hopefully we'll be in front of the City Commission for another round of concerts coming up, you know.
Public comment.
Do you have a date?
Now, normally, it used to be a free concert, and hopefully one day the mask will come off and we'll go back to it being a free concert, but right now we have to socially distance, and so in a venue that has 5,000 plus people normal, or 4,000 plus people, we're down to a little under 800, you know.
Do you have dates?
What's that?
Do you have dates already in
Yeah,
mind?
it's starting Memorial Weekend and going all the way through the end of September.
Regular
Every
schedule.
Saturday night plus the 4th of July, which the other thing is we don't know if we're going to have fireworks yet, up to the city. Okay, now, Reed?
Thank you. So, on that Public Works report, and redevelopment will follow up with some written reports starting next month, but we'll continue to provide this so that you can, one, when you get the information, feel free to call ahead of time if you've got any questions about a particular project. You see something that's not on the list. If we provide that for Public Works, hopefully that'll help everybody to get a sense of what's going on. And that's the idea, to make sure that things that you might not catch in a city commission meeting, but it's some project that's out there that's affecting the redevelopment areas that you're addressing, that you can do that. And this will happen for all the redevelopment boards. We have 3 of them, so Midtown and Downtown will also receive monthly reports as well for their area. Okay? Other than that, I don't have any other reports at this time. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Well, the problem I have is that last night's meeting ran till 10 o'clock, and I'm feeling obligated to make this last a little long. No.
Okay.
We need to work on that. I think we're good with,
Will,
I know.
will there also be reports on the money for the CRA?
That's a good point. We did just start that with Midtown, and that was a decision as of yesterday. So we didn't have time to go back and do that, but I'll provide you the same reports. And what we'll be providing is what is already available to you if you were to go on the website now. I've just collapsed the information into that which is really addressing redevelopment areas, which you're going to find throughout the adopted budget. So it's just a little easier for you. And right now, it's once a year. We approve it. Now, we do have amendments that will occur at least on a quarterly basis. So if there's changes, that will be provided as well throughout the year.
Okay. And I appreciate that you extended the lighting on the boardwalk. That's one of the things that, according to, what is it, the Engineering Society of North America, I forgot, the lighting standards, people need to be able to recognize somebody's face in order to be able to feel safe, and and that extra lighting does accomplish that. So I thank you.
Well, I consider you the expert in lighting on the Beachside.
Well, it is what it is.
After all your years of researching.
There you go. The Illumination Engineering Society of North America. That's what it is. Okay.
There you go.
Hey, it had to come to me. All right. Okay. And I guess that concludes that item. So we're all the way to board comments. So we'll start with Susan.
No, we need public comments,
Excuse me?
general public comments.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. And it wouldn't be well, we'll start with Ann Ruby.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. The Midtown Redevelopment Board has been just doing phenomenal things in terms of wanting to be able to call their own meetings every month, whether there's something to vote on or not, wanting more control over deciding how money gets spent, what projects are done, setting their own agenda. And I really urge you to look at the changes that they're included in the agenda from last night's meeting. They've already done the work for you in terms of outlining how you could change this board, but you need the chairman needs to call that meeting and meet every month. And I think that's really important. You met twice last year, and that's just not adequate. And I think what the Midtown Redevelopment Board is doing is going to make a real difference in Midtown. And I would really like to see you guys get busy and get active like that as well. So I encourage you to pay attention to that. I know their meeting was long, but I think once they get down to doing business, it'll be a lot shorter. I mean, they're trying to set up the structure, and that is a time-consuming discussion. So I'd urge you to please consider being more active, meeting even and when you don't have something on the agenda, putting together some projects you'd like to see, identify some parcels that are empty, maybe that the city owns. See if you can, we can encourage the city to find a developer for those parcels. So there's work that could be done by you guys, and I think I know Reed would appreciate the help. So the other thing I'm curious about, and maybe Reed, you can answer this question, what's happening with those two lots, Harvey and Ocean Avenue, that one where they took down the boardwalk was in terrible shape, and the same owner owns the other one that's south of the Roomba. Do you know what's happening there? They kind of started, I don't know what their plans are, when they're going to finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I am not aware of any specific project at those locations at this time, so that's all I can tell you. I haven't seen any projects come through our system yet for any thing to be developed.
Okay. And now, before we get to our next speaker, you know, I'd like to find out from the rest of the board members. I mean, it's true. We only had 2 meetings last month, and last year, and that is, you know, pretty pathetic. But we had no items that came before the board either. So when the city redevelopment director requests that the meetings canceled because there's no items, I agreed with them. You know, but if whatever you guys decide, you know, I mean, if you want to have at least, you know, quarterly meetings at a minimum, we could do something like that, you know, but it's up to you guys. And when we get to public, the board member comments, you guys could tell me, you know, do you want to have a minimum of quarterly meetings, you know, so that way we'll have at least 4 meetings every year, you know, if we don't have any item on the agenda. That might be a suggestion. But anyways, Reed?
Yes, I just want to add that when it came to cancellations of all the redevelopment board meetings, we're requesting that to happen when there was no applicant that had some due process need to get something on an agenda and go through that process. Then during the time of COVID and those emergency procedures, we wanted to limit having meetings at all if they were unnecessary. If we're just meeting to meet and not have an application before us, it was always recommended that we just not gather. And so that was the purpose of that request. And again, if you want to do something differently, you just heard the Midtown Board had some interest in doing some things differently, including meeting every month. So Those are certainly requests that we're trying to accommodate, and we'll see how that goes. And we hopefully are going to put this terrible virus behind us.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
No, I can't wait till it goes back to normal. Anyways, okay. And it wouldn't be a meeting without our next speaker, John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, 413 North Cranberry Avenue.
Wait, can you speak louder?
A little bit. Ann Ruby was really asking, the lot that was going to be a parking lot, the one at the Uruguayan zone, she wants to know, is it going to stay ugly like that, or are they going to grade it or make it any more attractive? Because right now there's a big graffiti wall still there, and the area facing Ocean Avenue, the fence is down, and it just really looks terrible as a whole. That's what she was asking. She wasn't asking if a project was going in. She wanted the appearance of that property.
And you're talking about the southeast corner of Ocean and Harvey?
Correct.
Okay.
They were going to put a parking lot there, remember?
Well, there's a parking lot on the northeast corner. You know, the southeast corner was, I think,
Well, the city owned that lot.
What?
The city owned the one on the north side.
Yeah.
This was the Uruguayan guy that wanted to rent to Ocean Deck.
Okay.
All right. For me, there's something happening. We have to ask Reed on the boardwalk in the boardwalk park, right in front of the Hilton, the large expanse, that rectangle of grass. They have like 12.5 orange flags. So something's being done in the park. I don't know what's going on there, but I would like to know what's going on before they do it. Like the flags that went in, nobody knew, not even Hilton. So those things you all should know when things are happening.
I think there was a gas leak, and that might be the location of where, I'm not sure, but I know that they had closed down Ocean Avenue Auditorium. They had police all around closing everything down because of a gas leak. And,
Right.
And it sounds to me,
No, this has been there for 3 weeks now.
yeah, this happened a couple of weeks ago.
Well, they would have pulled the flags. Okay, graffiti on all of the trash cans. Now the graffiti is on A1A, the boardwalk, Main Street, Seabreeze, and they're starting on International. Once it's like monkey see, monkey do. This guy Dopey, D-O-P-E, is spraying everything. All right, we've got to get a handle on it because it really makes the tourist impression of us really bad. So if you guys would kind of call and push or whatever. The cops are sort of kind of not doing much on the flowers, the palm flowers that these guys are doing. They're not allowed to do it, and apparently they changed the wording of the signs, which the cops are now interpreting that they're allowed to do that. But they leave these palm fronds, because they cut them, in like a 10, 20-foot radius, along with their cigarette boxes and the trash and whatnot. So for no other reason, can't we just push that they littering? Because basically, a piece of grass or piece of palm is one thing. 200 or 400 pieces of palm, that's trash. So it really looks bad on the entire length of the boardwalk. The homeless have now moved from the boardwalk proper to between A1A and Wild Olive. There are 9 locations that I spotted last night between Main Street and Oak Ridge, or Seabreeze, I'm sorry. I talked to, forgot what her name is, the new assistant, and she said there's nothing you can do. So I'm going to try what I can do, but I'm asking you guys to push it, call, whatever you have to do. What else do I have? And Proto Group is sort of kind of almost limping along. Their sidewalk should go in within the next 2 weeks, right in front of the property. They've cemented everything else. They're putting in the bricks for the entrance. So it's really moving. However, the city has to approve of the landscape in A1A. Remember they took out a whole section of A1A to that turn lane? I'd like to know what we're going to put back in. There should be at least 6 palms going in to match the other end of the street, because to go 2 city blocks with just grass is not conducive to especially that property. So I would ask you guys to keep up, and I second what Midtown is doing. Teresa will remember 30 years ago what the boards did and what they were able to do, and it was all taken away. So they're asking that it be returned. I ask you guys also to ask that it be returned. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and the last item is board comments. Susan?
Okay, it's time for my list.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have-
And if you could also start with whether you'd like to see quarterly meetings at a minimum, or not, just to,
I would like to see quarterly meetings, absolutely.
okay.
Okay. Questions from the community is that the community would like more input, so therefore the quarterly meetings would certainly help that. They wanted to talk about the pier and have some input on the pier. They want to talk about special events. We'd like a list of government-owned surplus properties and maybe offer some suggestions as to what people would like to see there. The residents want the community, how they want the community to evolve. They don't want their neighborhoods taken away for 20-story apartment buildings or condos. We want some input from the economic development as to what they're hunting for to bring to our community. A fun thing for the beautification committee, I talked with them before, and we do have some murals, but maybe we could have a contest for the high school kids or college kids in the art department to do some kind of, I have a whole packet of it, where the bike racks or maybe snakes, or there's something cute on the sidewalk, something that would make it less likely to be attacked by graffiti. And I'm really pleased that the entrance to the parking lot for the Proto Group is being rearranged. I had someone come west on Oak Ridge and then turn left onto Peninsula right in front of me the other night. It was exciting. So I'm glad that that's been taken care of. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Okay, and Teresa? And if you could start with whether quarterly or as needed?
I favor meetings with projects or where due process is needed.
Wait, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I prefer meetings that are, have projects on the
That have an
agenda.
item on the agenda. Okay.
No comments. Well, one comment. I want to say I agree with Mr. Nicholson's comment about the homeless. I don't know that they were on the boardwalk, but I can vouch and corroborate that they have, it seems like we've been effective at moving them off of public property onto private property.
Yeah, and
And we've had to cut down hedges and remove fences.
Oh.
It's just a host of related problems you have as a business in the area with that issue.
okay, and Tony, once again, I apologize, I didn't recognize you. I only met you that one time.
I know, right? He was outta here.
I mean, the exact date was, I met you
Yeah.
on March 11th. Okay?
Yeah.
But do you have any comments?
Well, quarterly meetings sound good, but, I guess maybe some coordinated efforts to make sure that we are at least extending these meetings and get some community, citizen support towards these groups.
Okay.
It doesn't meetings. It doesn't make any sense to meet if we don't have something to meet about. But if we can extend the opportunity to the citizens to get more involved, maybe that will mandate that we have more meetings and more things coming up. Yeah.
Okay. Robert?
I see no problem with having a quarterly meeting, but I do tend to agree with Mr. Servants that if we had some sort of community outreach a little bit further, that maybe we might hear more what they would like to see and we would have more of a reason to meet. I don't see a reason to meet without, having anything to address.
Okay. So,
I mean, I can also attest to the struggle of having our homeless community here constantly impede on your business. It is an issue here. And they tend to set up a permanent camp wherever they find they can make one. I agree they're not on public property anymore, but as Ms. Stone said, they've just moved maybe 15 to 20 feet onto private property and posted up camp. So we just seem to be succeeding in moving them 15 feet at a time right now. I think that's all I have right now.
well, I'll say there still are some homos on the boardwalk, so they just grown. Okay, I see a couple, and but anyways, and the park is not helpful either. But anyways, okay, so I mean, you saw the direction of the board is like, if okay, we had a meeting now in January, so if next month there's there's nothing on the agenda, fine, we won't meet next month. Of March, no item, but then at least by around April or May, we should have another meeting. Whether or not there's because I see that's the direction that this board is moving into. So, all right, and as far as me, I have no. And when we do have that next meeting, we probably have to have election of officers because there is no vice chair. If I can't, and what I'd recommend is that at least temporarily, since Teresa does have experience on this board, if for some reason I'm not at the next meeting, Teresa should be the vice chair for the next meeting. Does that sound reasonable? Because she's been on this board before and she has experience, Okay, all right. Okay.
You want to vote?
Well, we were not allowed, are we allowed to vote? We're not really allowed to vote, because when you have election of officers, it has to be announced as an agenda item, but I'm just saying, in the event I'm not, more than likely I will be here. Anyways, I haven't missed the meeting, so anyways. All right, meeting adjourned. And